Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs podcast? Welcome to the Chiefs Blitz Podcast, brought to you by ChiefsBlitz.com, your top source for Chiefs news. Our podcast is produced by Bowtie Sports and hosted by Athan, Lou Montagna, Andre Tillman, Hense Todd, and special contributor, Fox 4 sports reporter and anchor, Harold Kuntz. Please like and subscribe to our show. Now let's talk Kansas City Chiefs football.
All right, welcome back to the next edition of the Chiefs Blitz Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Athan, with Mr. Hense Todd, Mr. Lou Montagna, and from Fox 4, Harold Kuntz. Welcome, gentlemen, and what will be probably a very lively show today is we got a little news about the potential offensive coordinator for the Kansas City.
Sean McDermott got fired, Nick.
Sean McDermott gets fired.
Huge news.
That's just I tell you, this is a unique time in the National Football League with so many openings at good places with good quarterbacks and a lot of candidates out there.
Before we get into it, with all this upheaval around the league and whatever, I just want to let Kansas City and everybody in the listening audience know this is our team, along with Coach Andre Tillman. We're not making any changes. No one's going anywhere. Yeah. This is our squad. So let's go. This is the Chiefs Blitz team.
All right. Fair enough. We are all here. All right. Before we get started, let's just talk about our sponsor real fast. Underdog Sports. You just sign up, go to underdog.com and put in the code Chiefs Blitz. You can play 5, get up to $100 in their pick'em game. A college football national championship game tonight. And then the final 4 teams on Sunday in the National Football League. The two winners will represent their respective conferences in Super Bowl 60 in California. So, again, use the code Chiefs Blitz. We appreciate them being a sponsor. All right, guys, I don't even know where you want to start today, but the big news is you're muted again. I can't hear you.
With the updates. I mean, I get the sense there's one story we're going to spend the lion's share of the time on. So maybe let's talk a little bit about, hey, there were some games this weekend.
All right, go.
Go ahead, Luke. So look at that. Prime Time Sports Talk, our sister network, breaking. Sean Payton announces quarterback Bo Nix suffered a broken bone in his ankle. God bless him, doing post-game interviews and everything, knowing that he's probably done. That was just amazing. When this popped after the game, just crazy. And the second to last play, today's overtime win, he's out for the rest of the playoffs. Undergo surgery on Tuesday. Stidham, who has been a starter in this league before, was a draft choice of the New England Patriots, supposedly the heir apparent to Tom Brady before they brought in Cam Newton. Got some starts in Las Vegas under Josh McDaniels and played pretty well. You know, I mean, he didn't win a bunch of games, but I mean, he personally did okay. But he hasn't thrown a ball in a game in like 2 years. So just what a kick in the groin to Broncos Tube and all those people. You win that game like that, and you just to find out your starting quarterback is not going to be able to play the rest of the
What'd you think about that, Harold? What'd you think about that?
Tough news for Denver, honestly. You know, with the loss of Bo Nix, we don't know what Jarrett Stidham's been doing, honestly, for the last few years. But we know he's been on the bench there behind Bo Nix. We know they're friends going back to their time at Auburn University. But yeah, it's a tough blow for Denver because as much as you watch Bo Nix sometimes, you're not convinced he's a elite quarterback. He might be a great quarterback, but not an elite quarterback. He's still not Jarrett Stidham, and he still played games this season, I should say. So obviously a tough loss for Denver. I think New England looks really good. And look, New England took advantage of what they had. Let's just be honest with you. We know about playing one of the weaker schedules in the history of the NFL. We know about that. But they stayed healthy. They played the games that were presented in front of them. And in this era of the NFL we're in, which I'm just going to be honest with you, it's way too long. It's incredibly too long. And that's why we're seeing all the injuries we're seeing. And now bodies are starting to essentially break now. because it's too long. There's too many games. There's too much training
They want to add another one, Harold.
Yeah.
And they will.
I know there's too much training camp. There's too much they're trying to make football basically like a 9-month season, and it's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way.
No.
So, I mean, we can just look at college football ending now, and that looks stupid. So it's really just a fascinating thing going on across the league with everybody getting injured. And he's getting injured on, I know, Lou money. That's great.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's it.
But you can't make money if you don't have the product, and the product is
Right.
the players, and the
Right.
players are breaking. Then you can have as much money as you want. You're going to look at a darn Super Bowl with Drew Lock and Jarrett Stidham potentially.
Yeah.
The league does not want, the NFL does not want that.
They don't want that. So
I think ever
you want
since
quality,
Roger
or you want
Hold
quantity.
on, Lou. Let me finish.
Yeah. So I mean, you want quality or do you want quantity? And the quantity right now is what they're looking for, and it's not going to work out in their favor. I guarantee. Like they're gonna burst their own bubble doing this. But regardless, I do feel bad for Denver in the sense that he's out. It seemed like a simple play. Unfortunately, he's out. And now they got to go, even though they have the home field advantage and a stingy defense, they've got to play a Patriots team with an equally stingy defense. We saw what they did to C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud looked horrible out there.
Yeah.
And they got to go out there with an equally stingy defense. And Denver took advantage of what Buffalo gave them. I mean, Josh Allen tried his very best to give them the game. And I think he did. So
clearly.
Yeah. And so, like that's what we're getting at now. I mean, you can look at the quality. The games are fun to watch in terms of the scores close, but when you look at the quality of what you're seeing, it's not good quality. It's just not.
Yeah.
And that's I think that has a lot to do with the fact that it's just such a long season that starts in late July for these guys, and now you start to see teams break down because they're not getting breaks like say teams like the Patriots did.
Yeah, to me, that was like the overarching piece of the weekend was how often the ball was in harm's way, either on the ground or through the air, and it across all the games. Maybe not Seattle because that thing was over after the opening kick, but in terms of just the fumbles and interceptions, and I don't want to say careless, but it seems like the teams that have like Buffalo, like Chicago, that have put so much on the quarterback's shoulders that guy eventually, something's going to go wrong. And for Josh, unfortunately, I mean, arguably one of his worst games ever, even though he was the one that kind of kept them in it and kept up with Denver scoring. He just, at the end of the day, dropped the ball. But to your earlier point, Harold, as far as the league is concerned, I think ever since Roger Goodell made that statement where they wanted to hit like earnings of like $20 billion a year, the Pax Humana, in other words, are just the spread of the game to Europe and playing all those games and having players travel to all parts of the globe. That piece of it, more games, more streaming games, more individual event-based games, and everything is geared towards that number. And I think they're stretching and they're pushing the envelope because they've been able to at every turn. And you look at that ratings board of the top 100 shows of the year, and the NFL and college football have like 95 of them, right? Mm-hmm. So people want more. And unfortunately, those bodies are only made to take so much, and there's only so many guys that can play at that level. Yeah. So eventually, yes, I believe you that is the NFL. The quality of the games are going to start to wane,
and the quality of the quarterbacks too. This time of year is again, you got to stay healthy. We've already seen a rash of injuries. You factor all that into, and the league's got an officiating problem, which has been very evident in some of these games, especially when they go into overtime. Who's making the calls here? But at the end of the day, it's greed, and this is what the NFL wants. And maybe 2030, maybe 2032, but I'm sure you're going to see a streaming Super Bowl at some point because they could probably figure out a way to make more money. So, I mean, they're going to go to 18 games. The players are going to get an expanded roster, better benefits. They'll have 2 bye weeks. So, but again, that's going to elongate the season more. It's going to push back the college championship game another week or more. Unfortunately, this
Super Bowl on President's Day weekend.
Yeah,
right?
I kind of like that idea, but I think for me, I was on a radio show in kind of Broncos country this morning, and the questions and the attitude were just like, we worked this hard for this to be shot down now with a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And listen, I've said this for decades. The NFL gods are in charge, and they will do whatever it takes to make sure to create as much chaos as humanly possible. And that's exactly what we're seeing. We've got the bottom feeders who are all of a sudden playing great football. We're going to have a new, a young quarterback potentially winning the Super Bowl. I mean, I just think it's great for the league itself, but beware, Bengals, Chiefs, maybe Bills will be back next year to try to claim the throne again. So enjoy this.
Speaking of, I don't think the Bills will be back, but speaking of the Bills, go ahead, Luke.
All right. So we learned earlier this morning, end of an era in Buffalo. Maybe there was a little foreshadowing with Sean at the mic after the game, talking about officiating, which you really don't see coaches do. And he was really emotional and standing up for Buffalo, almost like maybe he knew what was coming. But the Bills, of course, went ahead and fired their head coach. He's been there for 9 years or 10 years, whatever it's been. It's been pretty successful, 98-50 regular season, 5 straight AFC titles, East titles, that is. Didn't win it this year. The Bills have decided to move on after another heart-wrenching playoff exit in Denver. Brandon Beane somehow gets a promotion out of the deal. So, okay. We'll lead the search for a new voice to lead Josh Allen and the Bills into their new stadium in 2026. Is Brian Daboll's name still in the Rolodex? Because I'm guessing that might be the first phone call.
I think it's already been called.
Yeah, he's already been called.
Yeah, between him, don't overlook Joe Brady.
Because
and then Davis Webb is another name, an upcoming candidate. I mean, they're basically just trying to pick Josh Allen's friend, but I mean, Josh Allen's friend needs to be looking at himself right now. I'm just being honest. I mean, who throws the ball backwards with 5 seconds left at the end of the half, and you're not even close to field goal range, but you're in Denver's field goal range? Who does that?
Travis Kelce.
Because not even Travis does something that dumb. You look at that, and you're just like, this got to be the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Like, I've seen
the game
things, but that was up there. Yeah. And he's always been under this, I have to make a play. And is that just Scar from playoff games past where he's just like, if I don't score here, oh no. Like that, he's frazzled right now. The whole thing's frazzled. So,
well, they also unfairly, Harold, I mean, they put a lot of pressure on this kid. They always abandon always in the postseason, they abandon the running game.
Well, they do that, but and James Cook was there and he was cruising. I think he had over 100 yards
and they just
rushing, if I'm not mistaken.
Forget it.
Yeah. But if you mention talent in Buffalo, well, the guy that acquires the talent just got a promotion.
Yeah, president of football operations.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of general managers in this league get their butts saved a lot, and the coaches are the default guy, and the GM is supposed to be the one that's supposed to give you the talent or work out the financials, and the scouting department, development department.
Who hired McDermott?
Yeah.
I don't think it was him.
Did they come in? They came in together. I think
before the new ownership, right?
I think they came in together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he's been there 8 seasons, so that was before. But I mean, they've always had confidence in Beane.
I don't see.
I mean, they were lacking in support. I know they had injuries. I mean, I get it. I know they had injuries. I mean, look at the Chiefs season. They had injuries too. Like, I can't stand it when people are saying about the Chiefs. It's like, the offensive line, they need to work on protection. I'm like, well, it's not their fault that they were down to their 6th and 7th string tackle. Like that, the injuries happen.
Yeah,
that's part of the league. But what are you gonna be like? Oh, you're the 5th and 6th string tackles are supposed to be Hall of Famers too.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yeah, you're supposed to have 6 Hall of Fame left and right tackles. No, not how this works. Like, so if they're healthy, they have a great line.
Yeah, injuries are part of it, but you look at, I mean, it's always, and again, to your point, Harold, about the elongated season, it is a game of attrition, and whoever has the best, and the Chiefs for all those Super Bowl years had injury luck on their side, knock on wood. And then those 2 years that they didn't, it didn't work out so well because they were missing offensive linemen. And that's kind of, again, the game comes down to in the trenches. And if you can't protect the quarterback, it ain't going to go very well.
Well, look at you want to have some real PTSD from yesterday. Joe Tooney was playing left tackle for the Bears.
Again,
I recall Tooney doing that last year in a Super Bowl run.
And he looked pretty good out there too.
And he looked darn good. But I mean, eventually, like if it wasn't going to be this week, Seattle.
He's a good left tackle for being a left guard.
And by the way, like New England has Milton Williams, who made the Chiefs suffer last year, with the Eagles. So it was coming. It was just.
But if I'm looking at this Buffalo job that's opening, if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, man, Josh Allen, you got Cooks, you got a little defense, you got some picks that's coming into this draft. I'm jumping on that job, ASAP. I'm going to try to push, if I'm Buffalo, I would try to team up Josh Allen with, Cliff Kingsbury, dig them two together, to see what happens.
I refuse to allow that possibility at the moment.
I'm just saying, if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, if I had to choose, I know Eric Bieniemy is interviewing for the job. We're going to get into that next. But if I'm Cliff Kingsbury, and like, okay, do I go back and, be an offensive coordinator for Patrick Mahomes and wait till Andy Reid leaves to be the coach? Or do I go get the next thing and Josh Allen, and he's not the next thing. He didn't show that on Saturday, but what do I go over there try to get that job?
Well, from Cliff's perspective, from Cliff's perspective, he's already interviewed for the Ravens job. So yeah, if it was for him to choose, absolutely, you want to go somewhere that's got the franchise quarterback.
Got to be invited first.
No question about it. Right? But to me, now that Buffalo opens up, and I don't think it's going to happen, but wouldn't that be the job that if you were going to come back, Mike Tomlin and could, the Bills and the Steelers could work out some sort of deal that's where you would go, or Baltimore, you would go there, which would be the ultimate kind of dig at the Steelers to go to Baltimore. But I don't think either of those is going to happen. But they have that kind of juice with Josh Allen. They can go get whoever they want. Now, at this point of the game, who's available? Well, anybody that's interviewed for a head coaching job right now is going to make themselves available. Now, are some of these other jobs going to kind of like slow down? I don't think it slows down in Tennessee, because I think they kind of know where they are in the pecking order.
What about John Gruden? You think about John Gruden? Think he come?
I think Harold hit it. Joe Brady's in the building. That would be in terms of continuity, that would be the Buffalo thing to do, or Brian Daboll. Yeah. But if you're talking about Cliff or some of these other offensive coordinators, we were saying it before the show. The Chiefs have a golden opportunity. They can talk to whoever they want, right? Mm-hmm. But the point, even though there's all these head coaching positions open, all those OC positions are open too.
This is the best talent we've seen, free agent wise, in the coaching industry in the NFL.
I don't know.
For at least a decade.
There's 10 openings.
There's a lot of there's a lot of them, guys, but I don't know how,
like prime jobs.
If Kevin Stefanski was number 2 at the time, he's good, but I don't know that anybody would put him up there as, at the top of any list. So, and it was only because Harbaugh went first. So this is going to be very interesting. And then just to relate it back to the Chiefs, the biggest point that I was making earlier before we came on air was that this is a golden opportunity to talk to talented offensive coaches from around the league, whether you want to hire them or not, to pick their brains, figure, who's running what, why are they running these things? How can you see that working here? And then you also kind of have this, Rolodex of information of guys that you might want to tap on the shoulder once Big Red calls it quits. So I see what they're doing. They're going familiar, at least with the first one. But this is certainly something here. The Chiefs now have officially, of all people, their very first request is an interview with Eric Bieniemy to return as offensive coordinator. Let's see how many more requests the Bears get on this one. With the offense dropping to 21st in scoring this past year, Kansas City is looking to restore the system that produced 2 MVPs and a top-ranked offense for 5 straight seasons. It's about more than just a reunion. It's about giving Mahomes the most proven play designer in franchise history for his 2026 comeback. This came straight from Eric Bieniemy's wife.
Yeah,
I understand. She was really pulling for Eric to come back. That was very, very clear and unbiased, right? I mean, we do our best to try to not cloud our content with opinions, but it really looks like this one seems to be dripping from Eric Bieniemy's desk. So if it looks that way, you're 100% right. That was very gratuitous.
Well, I mean, I think I
understand. To get to the question, then go ahead.
All right. Let's go. The why. This is the big why. It should be all capital letters. Why does Eric Bieniemy make the most sense as the next OC? Okay, so let me start, because my phone has been blowing up all day, and I have people who are saying this is a bad idea, this is a good idea, this guy's upset, that guy's upset. Who knows what's really going on? But the bottom line is, they as Lou said, you've got this plethora of outstanding coaches, and you barely stick your toe in the hiring bag, and you pull out Eric Bieniemy and say, hey, come to Kansas City, let's interview. Like, what do they need to interview the guy for? Permission to talk to him. I mean, they're familiar with him. What did he learn under Johnson? Why has no other team, none, requested an interview for him as a head coach or an OC? He's interviewed for head coaching jobs, 21 times and not gotten a single offer? These things are telling. He leaves after the Chiefs win the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, and they didn't want him to come back. They brought Nagy back. I mean, all these things, when you look at it, it's like, I get why Andy would do this. He's not ready to give up control of the offense. He wants a guy who's going to go be an enforcer to the guys that are not doing their job on the field. And that's what Eric would do. I personally think that Eric's one of the best running back coaches I've ever seen. What he did in Kansas City's running back coach was amazing. I don't think he was a great offensive coordinator, but it's not. No, and we can debate all that later. I'm just talking about as a play call and statistician, what it takes. And with Andy above you, it's always going to be different. I had hoped that Andy would go outside the box a little bit, but I see why it makes sense. Me personally, Harold, I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I don't think it's the right move.
Yeah, let's stress it's an interview first.
Please, thank you.
They haven't hired him yet.
Right? Yeah, let's stress it's an interview first. And, I've pulled up about old clips through Twitter, just because EB was such a big part of the first run that, Patrick Mahomes has said over and over, there's the discipline, there's the accountability. We heard last week about Patrick Mahomes saying the words about accountability, but he also stressed new ideas. And the only new idea that Eric Bieniemy would be bringing to the table is whatever he learned from a run scheme standpoint from Ben Johnson.
Right.
And we saw DeAndre Swift have a little bit of a pretty decent season with Chicago. The running game with Chicago, honestly, was not terrible. I don't have the complete Chicago Bears stats on me, but I know this. When he went to Washington and he got complete control of the offense there, the offense was 21st in the league. Now, you can say what you want about Sam Howell or the quarterback's been with Washington. The stat remains it was 21st in the league. He went to UCLA, college program. You can say how bad the coach was, Deshaun Foster, who seemed like apparently was a terrible head coach. But the offense in college was 117th in total yards per game.
Yep.
So clearly on his own, in his forays on his own, as he told me at a Super Bowl parade once, it was time for him to write Eric Bieniemy's story. That's his words. He told me that. The story didn't go too well. It just didn't. Statistically, it did not go well.
Right.
And now you put him in the situation in Chicago, great situation. You know who the play caller there is. It's Ben Johnson. He can add some elements of his ideas, which I'm sure helped with the Chicago Bears. But the whole thing with Chicago was the development of Caleb Williams. That was the end-all, be-all there. We know the run game was good, but it was solid. But we know the end-all and B game was Caleb Williams. You're walking back into a Chiefs organization here, which has precedent before. Obviously, Matt Nagy being the clear one, where they brought back someone as an OC, and they leave that continuity. So it only points to one person here, and it's not Eric Bieniemy. It's obviously Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've said multiple times on this platform, any platform, he's got 51% of the vote. He always does. He always will. Now, the day he goes to 49% is the day we got to change. But for right now, he's bringing in EB, and it would be essentially the Matt Nagy hire. And what they're probably looking at, I would presume what they're looking at most right now from an offensive standpoint is because I'm sure they've had deep dive and review and tape and everything. They obviously need some fresh ideas. Patrick Mahomes has said that, but they're obviously probably looking at, okay, our run game was not where it should have been. We need help in that. We know you're good at that. Help us. That's the conversation. But then you got to think about pass game coordinating. Do they like Joel Blameyer in his position? Do they look at wide receivers and coaches there? I mean, I've read some articles about them looking toward the people at Senior Bowls right now, looking toward for Senior Bowls receiving coaches. So they really need to figure out the OC and then the pyramid behind that right now. Right. And is he capable of being the OC with that pyramid behind that and assisting in the room? Because right now the Chiefs need the OC for the Chiefs has always been assisting
right
to the play calling mechanism, not necessarily the play call on the field per se.
Right.
Just look at any video. Patrick Mahomes, who said wasp? It was him.
It wasn't Eric.
He ran it through.
I said that last week, but you guys all poo-pooed me.
Yeah, but he said that it was him. Like he said, we have time for a wasp. He's thinking it. There's the immortal.
Everybody heard Patrick say it, Nick. It
yeah,
wasn't that part that we were poo-pooing.
Yeah, the AFC Championship game where they don't have the right call in at the end of the half, and then Patrick says, "Hey, make something else. I'm gonna, call it myself on the field."
Right.
And they gave them 2 plays, and that led to Cincinnati getting momentum into the half, which then led to the loss of the AFC Championship. But we're figuring out minute details about what he's done. We can say this: when they did win the Super Bowl, the second in a row against the Philadelphia Eagles, the one in Arizona, we know the receivers they had, we know the running backs they had, we know the personnel they had. It's not very unsimilar to the personnel they had now. In fact, you could argue the talent's there more now than it was back then.
I agree with that.
And they still made it work. So either the offensive staff, including Andy Reid, has just lost their fastball, and they're not waking up to the fact that some things might need to be changed here, or they just realized what we need right now is a guy who can kick them in gear, and they know he can do that. He has no problem screaming at them. The entire city of St. Joseph knows he has no problem screaming at them, and that's what they want. But again, let's just stress this: it's an interview, and to the question of why you would reach out to him, why now would you reach out to somebody who's familiar with the system, familiar with the team, familiar with the personnel there, especially QB1, and QB1 has said nothing other than good things about him. Now, what he might say behind the scenes is another completely different thing, but at least on camera, he's always been supportive of him, and he always says accountability, kick in the rear. And you know what? To watch the Chiefs team this year, a lot of guys look like they need to kick in the rear.
Yeah, they need quite a few.
Maybe that's the attitude thing they need.
Yeah, and they definitely need that. Mm-hmm. And I would say that's great, but does that make you, I guess, worthy of being the offensive coordinator, right? So if he's coming back to be the running back coach and whatever, and can be kind of that outside of just coaching the running backs, kind of be that accountability barometer, sure. But again, the one good thing, like you said, let's go with the positives. It's not a hire yet. So let's see if they bring anybody else in. Another positive could be that okay, Ben Johnson majors in having two backs sharing the load, that majors in under center runs, and there's some creativity to the running game. If that's what they're looking for, and if he can bring that, then okay. But again, it's almost like Big Red flexing his muscles that, okay, even though Brett Veach wants to bring in some other coaches and younger coaches to talk to, that this is the first one. Are they throwing EB a bone here? Or is Veach and Clark throwing Big Red a bone here, saying, yeah, okay, you want to bring him in, go ahead, but we are bringing in these other guys to talk to as well. So the positives, yeah, an attitude adjustment, sure. But in terms of infusing a lot of newness to, or freshness to the whole thing, the whole way they're going to move the ball, maybe not so much.
Right.
Well, I look at it this way. You know what I mean? They bring them in because they're going to be sitting there at number 9. And know who's going to be sitting there at number 9? You know what I mean? Hey, you know,
you make a great point.
I'm just saying, like, who's going to be sitting there around number 9 and you're going to try to grab? It's going to be, hey, the one and only. But if I'm the Kansas City Chiefs, I'm going to go look at it, give the guy a chance. You're going to have a guy that's going to be sitting there with 433 carries. You
better hope he's there.
2,882 yards, 6.7 yards per carry, 36 touchdowns, and 94 yards of receiving, guys. I'm telling you, if Eric Bieniemy comes in and he helps bring in the offense and change it, and then you get another cow back that can be just like Adrian Peterson, can be like a Jamal Charles or Priest Holmes, heck, a Valerie Johnson caliber if that case back in those days. If they can get that guy number 9, and you got a guy that also shown what he can do in Chicago with the running game as well, and bring that back to Kansas City, why not? Like you said, like Lou said a while back on the show, on our show before, is if Andy Reid going to bring somebody in, if he's going to bring somebody in to challenge him, or he's going to have to bring somebody in that knows the system as well. We can say Cliff Kingsbury, we can say all these other guys. It's going to be a guy that, you know what I mean, is going to have to know Andy Reid's system, is going to know how to run Andy Reid's system, and want to run it the way Andy Reid wants to run it. And since Eric Bieniemy been here, he has shown that he can do that. The Chiefs was number 1 in offense. We've seen the best years in Patrick Mahomes when he was up under Eric Bieniemy. We've seen the run game look different when he was up under Eric Bieniemy. So could this be a good fix? Could this be the only fix to get? I know it, you know, some guys, and when you have a band, right? A band, somebody playing the drums, somebody playing the guitar. When the guitar leave, you know what I mean? The band still don't sound the same. You can try to replace it with somebody else, and the bass don't sound the same, right? Lou, you listen to bands, and you're like, dang,
Van Hagar.
They're looking for a new drummer.
You missing this drummer. You missing this person. Why y'all let that person go? And Eric Bieniemy probably ain't big eyes to everybody else around the league. But in Kansas City Chiefs, with the Kansas City Chiefs, he made the band work. He made the band work. He made the band look good. And that's what I'm saying. He made the band look good. So, hey.
If he's so good, then why did 21 interviews he never got offered a head coaching job?
I just explained that. I said some people look good at bands, and some good band look don't.
I can't think that all those teams were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I can't look at this logically and say, and listen, I have nothing against Eric Bieniemy. I think he's a great coach. He's a good person. He's a good family man. All these things that you want. But I just think you can't just, again, it's an interview. Let's just call it what it is. I can't imagine that they're not going to talk to Cliff Kingsbury or Brian Dable or Mike Kafka or anybody else just for do some due diligence. If Eric is truly the guy after all that, then fine. But you'd have to think number 15 is going to have a say in this. And, you know, Harold, you said you made a great point. We don't know what Patrick is thinking behind the scenes. Publicly, he's always been very positive. The only time we've seen him get off that a little bit was a couple of times this year where he kind of talked about the offense, and the comment he made, I want fresh ideas every day. That is sticking in my head, and I can't get rid of it.
Was not Eric not bringing fresh ideas?
No, not necessarily. And he also called out Andy, you know, a few weeks ago too, you know, kind of what he wants to see. So, you don't normally see those little minor chinks in the armor. But listen, if Eric learned from Ben Johnson running schemes and the Chiefs are going to be a run-centric team, great. This makes a lot of sense. And then you got the genius of Andy Reid. But if the biggest issue I have is this, I just don't like the familiarity. I think there's too much talent out there to just pigeonhole yourself to something comfortable. Why not shake things up? There's so many good candidates out there. And a lot of these coordinators are not getting the love, in the head coaching search. I mean, Kingsbury's only had 2 interviews, I think. Dable's only had 1 head coaching interview that I'm aware of.
Yeah, Tennessee interviewed. I believe the list was 18.
Yeah, and that was just there. It's going to be Nagy when it's all said and done, I think. But and they didn't interview Eric Bieniemy. So they didn't interview Eric Berry either. But
I think he's found his lane. I don't think he's going to get any more head coaching interviews for the duration. That's the whole point.
Then why hire the guy as your OC if he can't be?
That's just it, Nick. I think where we're going here is that if everybody was talking about, they have to make these, they have to do this, they have to do that. They're going to talk to Kingsbury. I don't think they have. I don't think they're going to. I really don't think they're going to talk to Cliff Kingsbury. I don't really think they're going to talk to Dable or any of those guys. It just seems like he wants to stay familiar. Perhaps, maybe, if Kafka doesn't get the job in Philadelphia or anywhere else that he is interviewed, they might go back to him because, again, there's some familiarity there. But even Mike has got to be thinking to himself, if I go back there, I'm not going to be really calling the plays. I'm going to be doing a lot of the stuff that I was doing before.
Yeah, but he did a lot of good work with Patrick.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he played the
far
position.
Better than Eric did.
He played the position. Well, that's a whole different thing. I mean, Eric was a quarterback at Northwestern. He had a cup of coffee in the league, but I think he knows how to play the position. He may just not be that talented at doing it. So he's a good quarterback coach. And maybe that's what intrigues him about Philadelphia, is that maybe Sirianni has kind of given his.
No, they've already made a decision. They're hiring Drew Petzig, Cardinals offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Detroit just got a new OC.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's a done deal.
Yeah.
He wasn't good at Arizona. He wasn't good at Arizona.
That's the thing. That's the whole thing about Lou. Go ahead.
Who hired Petzing?
The Detroit Lions did.
The Lions. But the Eagles, I was talking about the Eagles job. So if Kafka goes there, I think he'll have some control over the offense, kind of like Kellen Moore did. And then also he can work with Jalen Hurts because, they play the position and all that. So it's just I think difficult for some of these guys that have had the experience either in that position as offensive coordinator or a previous head coach to come in and be subservient to Coach Reid. I mean, it really would take a special person that would also think like, hey, if I jump in there, maybe I get the head job in a few years. That's kind of a sketchy thing to just kind of hang your hat on. Yeah. So to me, if they were going to bring in somebody from outside of the family, if you would, it's going to be somebody younger that just wants to learn more from Coach Reid.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric.
You got to kind of look at it this way, though. Like all these, I know the big focus is on head coaching hires, but nobody's addressed the fact, and we understand the Chiefs like to play business very close to the vest. That's how Andy Reid's always done his business. Mm-hmm. And that's really how the organization has done his business, especially since Andy Reid's been there. Right. That's how they've always conducted their business. Because we've seen a lot of discussion about, who's going to be the Eagles OC? Who's going to be the Lions OC? Like, there are a lot of names thrown out there. You have not seen a lot of names thrown out there for OC the Chiefs. And
zero. This is the first.
Yeah, this is the first one. But you would think names would be flying at the opportunity to be an offensive coordinator for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. You think people would be flying at this job. So either there's a slew of names we have not heard yet, and the business has been conducted very quietly, or people do not covet this job because they just simply know at this point, I can't do it with Andy.
Right.
That's just really that's really there's only really there. I mean, there might be another way to think about it, but that's really at this point
I'm
the
kind of
couple
with
options.
you on that one, sir.
That's unfortunate. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead.
just
Kind of what I just said. What are you doing?
You have an opportunity to work with a 3-time Super Bowl champion in Patrick Mahomes, who's in his prime years. You would be thinking names would be running at this right now.
Like, and maybe they are, and we just don't know.
And that's why I said that, like, either they are, and we don't know about it because of the way the Chiefs conduct their business very quietly, or they've come to an admission that, like, we can't work under him. And, you know, obviously, if they were to hire Eric Bieniemy, then we know it's the latter. We understand a lot of inventive offensive minds may just think they can't not do this.
So you might as well be like a grad assistant, quality
do
control.
This is like, look, I'm not going to do this.
Offensive quality control. The Andy sidekick. I mean, that's
so. I mean, I'm hoping the latter's not true. I mean, I'm hoping they can find like a happy medium, somebody that's like gotten fresh, inventive ideas, can do things, but at the same time understands that, okay, I have to work alongside Andy, not under Andy. You know, like there's got to be some give and take here. So that's just, there's a lot at play here.
Yeah.
To try to get this right, to make Patrick happy, because I mean,
that's the key.
Patrick's very measured about what he says publicly, very measured.
Right.
And this is the second or third time I think he's kind of said it without saying it directly. And this time, I mean, last Thursday it was about as direct as it got.
I've never seen that out of him.
Yeah, that's about as direct as you ever. That's about as direct as it got. I mean, it's been direct before on certain other topics, but this was direct toward this particular topic, and that to me shows that, again, one of the two things is happening. They are looking for someone, you know, that is going to be bringing some brand new ideas or whatever, and I'm not denying that EB could bring in some brand new ideas working under Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson's a heck of a great coach.
He's a great coach.
He's a heck of an offensive mind. We saw what he did in Detroit. We saw what he did with the talent at his disposal in Chicago, getting them this far. So, I mean, it's not his fault that DJ Moore didn't decide to run faster. That's not his fault. So the route was there. So you have and I like the comment here. You have a win-now organization. They should be throwing things out there. So
yeah.
They can do status quo with the way they conduct business, or they can just go out there and try to get somebody.
I guess for me, just don't settle on this as your choice. Do your due diligence, be smart. And again, I think Patrick Mahomes has a much larger say in this. And I'm just, based on things I've heard, people I've had conversations. He's at the facility. He's going to probably meet with, even if Eric comes in, they're going to sit down and have a conversation. And they're going to have a very candid conversation. If Cliff Kingsbury comes in, or Brian Dable, or Mike Kafka, or anybody else, they're going to have a candid conversation with Patrick Mahomes, because I think Patrick, in his measured responses, really does not want to play the same style of offense that he's been playing for the last 7 years. He knows the league's caught up to him.
Yeah,
and
it's time for a refresh.
Yeah, it's time, and that means Andy has got to. He's got to change some things. Now, he's not going to change everything. He's not going to make me happy by giving the offensive, play calling over to somebody else and revamp this offense in its entirety. But they know they found something when Patrick Mahomes is under center. They know if they have a couple of really good running backs that they can take the pressure off. They know with average to above average wide receivers and an aging tight end, they can move the ball. And their offensive line is certainly going to be healthier next year than it was this year. So it isn't like you need this massive rebranding of the Chiefs offense, but it does require Andy to give up something to make those changes.
I think they're gonna make those changes, Nick. I think they kind of switching over to, they probably gonna be a run first offense, and then that's why they probably gonna bring in Eric Bieniemy, because they're gonna probably looking at that number 9 pick very, very lightly. I'm dead serious. I'm not joking. I'm being dead serious. I think they're going to be looking at that. If they're going to change Patrick Mahomes coming off the ACL tear or whatever, and all that stuff that's going on with his knee. If they're going to be looking to change, go to more run offense, why not bring in the guy that's great at coaching running backs and great as coaching.
I don't disagree with
deal
you.
with the Bears and everything else. So if they going to be switching that, turning that wheel on towards that, why not Eric Bieniemy?
But you got to coach 5 offensive linemen and 3 tight ends and other running backs and other receivers, and he has to have command of those guys. And that was, I think, part of the problem. And Harold, you went back to that Cincinnati Bengals game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jared McKinnon give him the ball. That's a touchdown there. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl. It's just that simple at the end of the first half. And there was just so much confusion. And that's when you could start to see the chink a little bit with Eric as the offensive coordinator, where Patrick was so upset on the sidelines. And, that's something that lingered into the offseason. And that, I think that was the beginning of, okay, maybe we need to do something different here eventually. So I just want to say this. I think, again, be clear. I've been accused of some things today. I put a post up this morning saying I'm not a fan of this potential move. But as long as they interview other people and they get a sense and they at least consider turning a slightly different page to the offense that isn't what Eric learned in Chicago under 1 year of Ben Johnson, then I'm okay with this as a short-term fix.
So if you got a divorce and you didn't date for like 2 or 3 years and all of a sudden your ex wanted to come back, what are you doing?
I'm not going back.
You're not gonna go out there and test the market a little bit. Come on, what are we doing? What are we doing?
She don't get
not sight unseen. Come on, you got to dip your toes a little bit. But no, with Coach Reed, I mean, you talk about, well, if they go to this run, more of a run-based offense. Well, wait a second. We're still talking about Andy Reid, who in 25 years or so has shown that that's not his thing. I mean, his version of the West Coast offense is moving the ball through the passing game, even if it's even the short passes that count as runs in his mind, right? You're going to complete 80% of those. Those are just runs in our system. For him to flip that would be like monumental, right? And we talk about the 51% and all these other things. I just don't see him all of a sudden saying, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, if that was the case, then he would be okay bringing in a different offensive coordinator and I'll just be the CEO. But you've done this for 25 years. You've been pretty successful at it. This is in his mind, I don't think the scheme is broken. I think it's more so the players that have underachieved, the injuries in the offensive line.
But Patrick Mahomes did say he wants somebody to hold somebody accountable, Luke.
That's what Eric
Bieniemy does. He holds people accountable.
I understand that's a small piece, but I don't think you bring in a coordinator to be that's their calling card is I'm going to hold everybody accountable. You can have somebody else on the staff that does that, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Patrick Mahomes threw interceptions this year. It was nobody on the sidelines like holding him accountable. You've seen that when Eric Bieniemy is here.
He holds himself accountable.
Okay, yeah. Does he need to be held accountable for something that he knows was a mistake?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Seriously. No, Hense, answer me this question. In life, do you need someone to hold you accountable for a mistake that you know you made?
You don't. But no, you don't.
You hold me accountable for my comments.
Whatever. Look at it. I understand what you said, Harold. I understand that. What I'm saying is, like, in football and sports terms, you have your boxing coaches, you have your sparring coaches, you have people you spar with. And sometimes you lose your sparring partner. Sometimes you lose a coach that's coaching you in boxing or anything. Sometimes you miss that key pieces, like I brought up the band scenario. You miss that key member in the band ain't gonna be the same. And
what you're saying is Rocky wasn't the same boxer after Mick.
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Did he still win a heavyweight championship after that?
It was harder. It was harder, right?
Doesn't matter. He held himself accountable.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm just saying. It was a little harder.
He caught that damn chicken.
He was no Tommy Morrison, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, whatever. Rocky brought in some fresh ideas from Apollo Creed's training and beat Drago in Russia. That's exactly because life is like a movie, right?
Yeah.
But
Pretty much.
but if I had to ask you this, Harold,
Mike.
if you wanted a coach to, if you hearing what Patrick Mahomes said, you out there, do you think that he is talking about Eric Bieniemy or he's wanting somebody else?
So what? Oh, sorry.
I said, you think what the comments that Patrick Mahomes made in his last media, statement? Do you think he was talking about Eric Bieniemy? Is that the sign of the coach that he wants, or you think he was talking about somebody else?
Anybody in particular? He was just talking about what they need as an offense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was specific. I agree. I don't think it was specific of his commentary toward Eric. What he's, in my opinion, I've reread it and I've watched it. It's like, hey, what we've been doing has not been working, and you're damn lucky for 2 years in a row. We won back-to-back Super Bowls because the ball bounced our way and we made.
Well, can I ask you this then, Nick?
Hold on, let me finish. Go ahead. Ask me. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you if Andy Reid, he's older. He's the last long-standing coach right now in the NFL right now. If we know he ain't gonna be coaching that long, do you think Clark Hunt is going to actually have this say? Because Luce said something that was very important, that this will be a time for them to dig around and see who they can have in to actually come in to be the next head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs as well. So do you think Clark Hunt is looking at this like, okay?
I think Clark has to view this hire as a potential replacement for Andy. This is what I think. I think for the last year. And Harold, you can correct me if I'm wrong because you're out there obviously more than I am. I'm not out there at all. But I think Clark Hunt has spent
none of us are out there right now.
Clark Hunt has spent a lot of time on the stadium issue. Yeah. It's taken up a lot of time, a lot of meetings, a lot of meeting with people. Not that I think he's given up any of his duties running the organization, for what's on the field. But the problem I have with this is I think Andy is what's going to be 68 this year. He signed for 3 more seasons. I would be hard pressed to think that he'll get to all 3. That's just my opinion. No one's telling me anything else. But if they struggle next year, let's make a couple assumptions, and they brought Eric back, and the offense isn't any better. Yeah. Then you're talking about, okay, you may have lost an opportunity to get a really good offensive coordinator, but if Andy leaves, and whoever takes an offensive coordinator job that they like can interview for the head coaching job. So in essence, they're kind of playing with house money, I think, for 1 more year. But if I'm Clark Hunt, then I basically have to let Eric Bieniemy go twice, because I think we can all agree that we don't think he's a head coaching candidate. We don't think he can be a head coach in the NFL. When he's been on his own, he's struggled. So I think the organization has to look at this and say, with the landscape of the NFL the way it is right now, when you've got all these quality head coaches who've been fired, you've got all these some good quarterbacks who don't have a head coach, that you take this opportunity that you may not get again and say, like Brett Veach does, he looks at the next 2 to 3, 4 years, every year he drafts, every time he puts his board together, when he starts looking at, who has to go, and they have to do this. They have to start doing the same thing with the head coach. I think we're at that point where Andy had a tough year and there were a lot of mistakes. There were a lot of mistakes on the field, but hence I love you with the accountability. But if I'm Patrick Mahomes and I'm making $50 million, or I'm Travis Kelce making $18 million, or I'm Chris Jones making $30 million, or Jawan Taylor making 30, I'm holding myself accountable for the mistakes that I make.
So do you agree with Nick said, Herb?
Well, I think you're thinking about it all wrong with the new coaching hire needing to be like a head coach in waiting. Like, Andy Reid was kind of its own version of they brought in, when you look at when they brought Andy Reid in,
he fell in their lap.
The Chiefs organization just needed a coach that needed just straight up stability of any sort.
Right.
That was
they got, who ended up being first surefire first ballot Hall of Famer as a head coach. Now that wasn't happening until Patrick got there, because the QB coach mesh was there. But I think the head coaching thing is separate. What you need to get to right now is someone who is, just a good, solid X's and O's coach. Like, whatever marries the talent you have, or the talent you could have, or the talent you may want to have, that's what you need right now. That what matches up with everybody's strengths. Now, like, for instance, the Detroit hire. We know Arizona wasn't good. Like, hell, no, I don't think anybody paid attention to the Cardinals the whole year. But it's just
Coach,
being honest.
Coach Dre's heads just blew up. What do you mean?
No offense, but I'm just saying, like, I've always had this argument with somebody who's like the one team that you probably pay attention to the least, and it's always like a competition between like Jacksonville, Carolina, and Arizona, but I digress. But when it comes to Arizona, like, it may not have been scheme. It just might have been personnel and injuries, and you just didn't have the right person, and clearly they moved off from Kyler Murray. That whole thing was a mess.
Yeah.
So, but that same scheme could match up perfectly with what they want to do in Detroit with the personnel they have there.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know about that. So you just got to marry the scheme. And I think with success comes accountability. Maybe sometimes it should be the other way around. Accountability leads to success. Mm-hmm. But in their case, they've had the success. So now they just, to Hense's point, need a little bit of accountability. But and again, I go back to saying if you think that is what EB provides, great. Should have a single problem getting him under contract to be an OC there. But
I would imagine it wouldn't cost that much either.
Yeah, it wouldn't cost that much either. It'd be almost a handshake agreement. But and I know and like I think he would be more than happy to take that job. So, the conversation obviously needs to be had. They know him, he knows them. It would work well in terms of just fitting in. Now, on the field, what's your plan?
Yep.
What's the new ideas?
Yeah, I mean that's the
big thing.
Yeah.
And I think all of those guys care more about on the field than EB can still be a friend of anybody on that team if he's not on the team or not on the payroll or not. He can still be their friend. I'm sure he's a phone call away if they really needed him for counsel and whatever. Mm-hmm. But let's just be honest. Like, the winning will make greater connections and greater promises. And these guys are about winning and winning now. They need someone who can tell them in the room, okay, I think this happens. This makes us win. Let's go do it. That's what they need. Yeah. That's what they need. And through the interview process, if they think EB's the guy, great. Get him tomorrow. Get him tonight. But
yeah, because if they think like he's just the best candidate for them, and I guess then it does make sense. But I mean, they truly have to believe that. But again,
nobody's wanting this guy.
You did part ways for a reason. I don't think it was clearly. I mean, what was said was he's got to kind of go off on his own and spread his rent, whatever. That doesn't work out, and now all of a sudden, well, come on back. I mean, there's plenty of coaches out there. What do you want to do? And again, I've been saying this since the end of the season. They have to decide, what is this offense going to be moving forward? And then that's as soon as you figure that out, then it's, do we have the personnel to do it? You hope, you match it with the personnel that you have. And then it's, okay, who's can coach this and get the most out of these guys and be able to move the ball the best of our ability.
So Lou, if you had to choose a coach, if you was Brett Veach or one of those, who will be that coach that's left on the tree besides Eric Bieniemy?
I mean, your best case scenario to me would be somebody like Mike McDaniel, who was able to kind of take the Shanahan thing, bring it to Miami, and make Tua into almost like a Pro Bowl quarterback, to make him look viable for the first 2 or 3 years of his career, to get him paid, right? And it's really just kind of shake up the league. So I think he's going to be able to do that, Mike McDaniel, wherever he goes. Would he come to Kansas City? No, I don't think he would, because he's not going to have clear autonomy to do those things as long as Coach
he got a quarterback that's sitting out there. He got Josh Allen, so maybe he goes over there. Maybe go to Buffalo.
That would be.
I wouldn't be shocked. I mean,
Buffalo's hire will be the guy who probably calls plays.
Yeah, Joe Brady seems to be. I mean, he's a name that other organizations want to talk to for their head jobs. Yeah. Why would they? I mean, he's right there. They know him. They like, I mean, all those different things. I mean, if they're probably kicking themselves for not doing this when Dable was available, maybe get rid of McDermott then and have Dable become the head coach and see where that was going to go. So maybe they just say to themselves, hey, we screwed this up once. We're not going to do it again. Joe Brady, keys are yours. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we close out, who will be hired? If you had an offensive coordinator, choose one. Mine will be Cliff Kingsbury.
That's mine too. He's always he's number one on my list, and will always be number one on my list. And
we'll probably hear who it is 3 minutes before the team makes it official.
So who do you think it's going to be?
I don't.
Harold, are you allowed to make these kinds
of?
No,
no.
You are completely unbiased. You are not a fan here.
Yeah, I'm not. You're exactly right. I'm not.
Right.
I would say, let me get some more names in the room, and then I might be able to come up with a good educated guess.
We'll record a special segment.
It just seems like
we need some more names in I think, and I know for a fact there will be some more names in the room.
There will be.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just the one that came out publicly because I think it was just an obvious one.
Now, you think? I mean, dude,
I think there'll be 4 interviews total
for the coordinator positions. Do they have to adhere to all the league rules that they do for head coaches?
Well, they got to wait until they're out.
You got to wait till they're out.
But the Rooney rule.
The Rooney rule is certainly.
Well, I mean, that is the Rooney rule. They just did the Rooney rule.
Yeah.
They have to be compliant. And on top of that, I mean, but to me, it just seems like, again, even if you're going to hire the guy, and not so much for the coach and waiting, but just, again, to gather intel on guys that have been in other systems.
Yeah. Who's your pick?
I gave Mike McDaniel. Okay. I was first. You don't listen, Nick. You just don't listen.
If you want to do Mike McDaniel, you're going to have to, as you would do, Lou.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen. And no. I don't think there's any chance of it.
Year higher.
And it doesn't have anything to do with the money because I think
a guy who's always called plays is going to be like,
he's probably going to get one of the head coaching jobs. And if he doesn't, I would imagine it would be more one of the, like a Baltimore OC or somewhere or Buffalo OC if they don't go with like a Dable or a Joe Brady. So I don't think there's any chance, but he asked me who I would want. That's who would be who I would want.
There's still 8 jobs to fill. Yep. So, I mean, we're still
plus all those offensive coordinators have to be filled then too.
I mean, everybody, there's a lot of things that need to be filled. And we're forgetting that there's still 4 teams alive. And some of these guys have not been able to talk yet.
Yeah. Davis Webb is a hot name. Yeah. The kid that is Clint. There's 2 Kubiak. There's Clint Kubiak from Seattle, and then Clay Kubiak with the Niners. He's the offensive coordinator there. Both Gary Kubiak's kids, just for 100% transparency there. But those guys are going to be named. Anybody that has anything has been involved with that Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak tree. They're gonna get interviewed. That's what I'm saying. Get one of these guys in the building just to talk to them, pick their brains, get some ideas. Not that they don't watch film. They kind of, Coach Reed is like forgotten more offense than these kids will probably ever know. But
I get what Lou's saying. Lou don't want you to do what they do when they go back and go get old players to come and play back in the Kansas City Chiefs and they still don't work out. Get right. Like they go get
a coach in his prime. That's what I say. Just go get a coach in his prime.
Yeah, because those and then those other positions are very important as well. The running back and wide receiver coaches in terms of on the offensive side of the ball.
You may need a new offensive line coach.
Those are 2 critical ones, especially the wide receivers. Young crew. I know I'm being redundant, but I don't care. Those kids have to be developed. Jalen Royals, again, this red shirt year, this offense is so complicated that no one can pick it up. I don't know what that even means, but Worthy is I don't want to say has regressed, but he's certainly not better than he was when he showed up. Yeah. Rasheed, who knows? Harold, have we heard is there anything outside of the fact that Rasheed's ex took down the stuff on Instagram?
I think that means he can't talk about it.
Mum's the word.
Yep.
We don't talk about Rashid. This is like Fight Club. First rule.
Nope.
We don't talk about Fight Club. Okay. But anyway, his play on the field, he needs to be developed because, again, he's got outstanding skill. He's got so much potential, but somebody's got to kind of draw it out of him. So that's going to be a huge hire for them, is that wide receiver coach, somebody that they can lean on outside of other players on the team. Those are great. You want to have leaders that you can talk to, the guys that are doing the same thing you are, but you also got to have the guy that's in your position group room that kind of runs the thing and talk about accountability. That way, when they're watching film, he can point stuff out and not feel like, a former high school coach trying to tell these outstanding athletes that you're not running this route right.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. I would imagine hopefully we'll get a few more names will pop up on the radar, and the Chiefs will do more due diligence than just handing the keys to Eric. And if they choose Eric, then they choose Eric. They're going to have to make that decision. And
Nick,
whatever
I want Eric. Nick said,
I'm not going to lie about it. I'm not, again, I can't get what Patrick Mahomes said out of my mind. He wants fresh ideas. Fresh ideas every day. It wasn't fresh ideas overall. It was fresh ideas on a daily basis. It's like getting a brand new cooked warm bagel every morning with different toppings.
If that's the case, then it's got to be Lou's guy then, because he only one that I've seen.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not going to happen. In terms of guys that might be available, it would be probably somebody younger that wouldn't mind deferring to the offensive genius in the building, which is our head coach. So
you got to appease the offensive genius in the $50 million a year.
So I guess the real question is, can you do both? Can you have fresh and new ideas in your coordinator, but also be subservient to the guy that's kind of married to his West Coast?
Let's revisit the quote, and it's in detail here.
All right, here we go.
Go for it.
Yeah. All right. I just want someone that loves football, that cares about football, wants to give everything they can to win, to hold people accountable, and then to bring new ideas every single day. That's something that we have to continue to do if you want to continue to be great in this league. Is you have to continue to evolve and get better and better, and that's something that we'll try to do here. And I want to get back to that winning culture, being accountable to each other and going out there and playing great football every single day, practice or game. The fresh ideas came before accountability.
Now, did anybody follow up? I watched it too. I don't remember anybody following up to that saying, so Patrick, are you saying that?
Well, because that was the next to last question.
Did that
That's
not?
That's why there's no follow-up.
Yeah, he said it when he knew there was not going to be a follow-up.
Did that not exist this year? How would you characterize this year in terms of accountability? Whatever.
Well, could it be?
Watch the tape.
Well, yeah, clearly what he said happened.
Yeah, it was crystal clear.
I understand, but as a journalist, as a reporter, wouldn't you feel that's kind of like the next question you would ask?
Yeah, if they didn't shut off the Zoom.
Yeah.
The next question.
So whoever that is,
he wasn't locked in a room.
Whoever that is,
Sydney, was at his house.
Sydney or whoever she is, she ran that just right. She knew.
There was one more question. There were 8 hands raised, and there was one more question.
So would that say that was his shot, is saying that I don't want Matt Nagy back?
No, Matt wasn't coming back.
No, I mean, he's working under the assumption Nagy gets a head coaching job.
Yeah.
I know. So I guarantee you. So, but if that by those quotes, it kind of seems like Cliff to me. That for me, I like EB. I do love him. I like the offense, what he did. You know what I mean? But if I had to choose, me personally, and I'm just a guy. If I had to choose,
you've made this 100% perfectly clear over the last month. Okay,
I've been sitting so you can get
Cliff. Cliff, guns up.
Have I not been saying Cliff since we started this podcast?
Absolutely. Yes. Guns up, air raid, Mike Leach, straightforward. Let's go.
Give me Cliff. So with that said, guys, we want to thank all 1,041 of you guys for watching in here today. I know it's a hot topic. Everyone, it's all opinions, guys. Don't hold nobody.
Hot. It's a very triggering topic, I think. Triggering is the right word.
So with that said, guys, put it in who you want in the comments. You know what I mean? Who do
One
you
of these
want?
days we're gonna get Harold
There
to
you go,
smile. We're gonna get Harold to smile, man.
There you go. He just laughed. So
I don't even know if he has teeth. I really don't.
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Yes.
We want to thank Harold for covering that. I love when you come on Monday. Thank you for your inside take. Also, thank Lou and Nick, and I want to thank for all you guys in the comments. You know what I mean? If Eric B, just remember this, guys. If Eric B is hired, it's a chance for love.
That's right. Smooches everywhere.
Victory we slay. Chiefs Blitz Podcast where the real fans unite. Every touchdown score, we ignite the night. From tailgate chatter to post-game debate. We love our Chiefs, yeah, it's never too late.